I had looked at the Alfred Ehrhardt Stiftung, and I had seen that Alfred Ehrhardt was a multidisciplinary artist. Not only was he a painter and a photographer, but also a musician, a filmmaker, and a lot of other different disciplines that he incorporated into his work over time. And a lot of the artists that I work with in photography use photography, but they also use other tools to tell really in-depth research stories. And many of them are collaborating with scientists and other educators to tell those stories. And they tell a story from a slightly different perspective. And they're all represented by Eastwing, which is an international platform for photography that was founded in Doha in Qatar. So knowing this, I came and spoke with you, and I mentioned that we had some artists who were dealing with some very interesting issues. So I put together the artist Mandy Barker, who deals with plastic pollution in her work. She entices people in with the idea of beauty. So as you can see behind me, this really colorful work, which is like a universe or an ocean. And as we go through it, we realize there's a horror behind this beauty, and that this plastic is everywhere. It's not just floating like big objects in the ocean, but it's breaking down into microplastics, which are being eaten by fish and also by birds, and ending up in our bodies through everything from water to what we eat to the beauty products that we use. And the other artist that I considered was Caleb Charlin, because Caleb looks at invisible energies that exist around us. So he uses a very straightforward, simple experiment, science experiment, where he takes a potato and he inserts a galvanized nail, and then also connects a copper wire to that. And this creates a sort of battery. But he takes it to an almost eccentric extreme, where he'll dig up a whole potato field or a whole beet field or an entire apple tree. And he connects these to a light source. And then he leaves the shutter open overnight to show us the power that generates and is generating around us that we don't see every day to light this lamp. And for the third artist, I chose Finnish artist Maija Tammi, an artist and doctor of arts who collaborates with scientists and musicians to examine ideas of mortality and immortality in the natural world.
This work called Immortal's Birthday, it focuses on Hydra, which is a small freshwater polyp that does not age at all. And for example, this work behind me is called Party Animal, and it's a collage of decapitated Hydra heads. It sounds bad, but they all grew bodies within a week or so. Plus, they don't have the same kind of nervous structure as we do, so they don't feel pain in the same way. And it's called Party Animal because Hydra was already discovered in the 1700s, and it was a Swiss naturalist, Abraham Tremblay, who was experimenting on Hydra, and he quite quickly found out that first, actually, he didn't even know if it's a plant or an animal, and he quite quickly found out that if you cut it into parts, each part will just regenerate into complete new animal. And the word spread in Europe, and there's actually a poem from the 1763 where this duchess is begging to have a Hydra in her party because she wanted to show off to her friends how this little creature regenerates. A Hydra is an 87-million-year-old species, and it can clone itself, and it can sexually reproduce. And if you cut Hydra into, let's say, you dissociate it to single cells, it'll just start growing again. Okay, and this picture called Hive Mind, it's a picture from an experiment where you take 30 Hydra and you put them in a liquid that dissociates all the cells. So basically you have a soup of single cells. All other animals would die at this point. And then you put the soup into a centrifuge and make a little cake. And then you put the cake into a petri dish, and it starts regrowing as a clump. So that's why it's called hive mind, because the 30 Hydra are growing as a clump before they detach from each other. So this image is a birthday party for the Hydra. And all other animals they're already dead, basically, because Hydra has outlived them all. This work is from, because when I was collaborating with the scientist, Daniel E. Martinez, who actually figured out that Hydra does not age at all. Like if he would find a Hydra in the nature, you cannot tell how old it is, but in the laboratory, the scientists, they were still throwing parties for the Hydra because how long they had been in their lab. So I kind of created this a playful birthday party for the Hydra.